Good morning. I am so very excited to see all of you. This is super, super exciting. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll go ahead and get started. And Wayne, you can't hear me? Can everyone hear me? I think.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Clear,
Wayne,
very clear.
okay, Wayne, can you hear me? Let's see. Oh, okay. Oh,
You all are awfully quiet. How is everybody today?
everyone is muted, but we were making sure that everyone could hear me, and I think that you can. I think Wayne can hear me as well. That was, I had a little bit of a question. And Wayne, you're muted, so, okay, all right. We'll get started. Welcome to the KDLA Local Records Program Grants Review Committee meeting for fiscal year 2022, Cycle 1. As a reminder, we are live streaming on YouTube. In order to help bandwidth and internet connections, I'd like to ask that guests and KDLA staff please keep their videos off unless you are presenting, answering questions, or participating in a discussion. If you are joining by phone, please press *6 to unmute. Roll call is Steve Collins, Miss Cherie Daniels, Mr. Robbie Hume, Miss Leslie McCarty, Mr. Wayne Ongst, Miss Morgan Patterson, Mr. Dave Schroeder. Okay. I will also introduce the local records regional administrators if you are not aware of who they are. We have Robert Beelan, he's in the East region. Becca Halpmeyer, she's in the West region. And Beth Williams, she's in the North Central region. Give me just a moment, please. Find Larry, please. Find him, email him, please. We are missing an RA, so we will continue on and he should be joining us shortly. Next on the agenda was words from Commissioner and State Archivist Manuel. He will not be joining us this morning. So we will go straight into reviewing the applications. 25 local records program grants applications were received for fiscal year 22 cycle 1. The total funds requested are $613,153.52. 2 applications were identified as ineligible to move forward in the grants process to the Local Records Grant Review Committee. They are the Knox County Clerk and a second application from the Montgomery County Clerk. The Knox County application did not include a description of the proposed project or an advertisement and was incomplete. 2 Montgomery County Clerk applications were submitted, one for salary, the other for equipment. Grant applicants are eligible to apply for 1 local records program grant per grant cycle. The Montgomery County Clerk Equipment Grant application moved forward in the grants process. We have 23 applications to review and score. Thank you for scoring the applications in advance. After each presentation and branch recommendation, we will record your individual scores and compile them. After scoring, we will take a 10-minute break to rank your scores. Applications will be ranked from highest to lowest. We will move past the Anderson County Clerk because that's the South Central region and Larry Barnett is not here, and go to the City of Bowling Green with Becca Halbmeyer.
Good morning. Can everybody hear me? Wonderful. Okay. City of Bowling Green has requested grant funds from the grant program to digitize approximately 34 boxes, records that represent historical significance and relevance to the community. They're dated between 2000 and 2020. The list of them include capital construction projects, commissioners meetings, cemetery certificates, financial reports, annual reports, news publication, minutes books, budget documents, and then business license registration forms. After some discussion with the agency, it was discovered that the largest group, the 30 boxes of what had been identified as business license registration forms, had actually been misidentified. So we took those out of the application. There's no need for them to be included. So with that, we're recommending that the rest of the project move forward for funding.
Does anyone have any questions for Becca regarding the City of Bowling Green? If no questions, can I have a motion to recommend funding at the amount given? Which is $1,158. I need you to unmute if anyone would like to make a motion.
I'll make the motion that
Thank
Bowling
you.
Green's application be approved.
All in favor? Oh, did I have a second? I'm sorry.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Opposed? Thank you. We will move on to the Callaway County Clerk, and that is also with Becca Halbmeyer.
That's me again. So the Callaway County Clerk is requesting funds to scan and digitize and microfilm 14 fiscal court order books, approximately 5,600 pages, dating between 1993 and 2020. And they also would like all the images to be provided in OCR capable format. So looking through the application and the project specs, it looks like the scanning and digitizing, those records are good for that. The section 2, the OCR and retrieval software, didn't seem that the project specs necessarily matched up with some of the bids. They were just kind of a little confusing. And then the security microfilm, again, looks good. So what we've recommended is for fundings of sections 1 and 3, and then denial of section 2 to possibly come back with more information on that at a later date. So we're recommending denial of $5,400 and then recommending funding of $9,051.
Does anyone have any questions for Becca regarding the Callaway County Clerk? If none, can I have a motion to recommend funding at $9,051?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. A second? Thank you. Any opposition? Thank you. We will move next to the Crittenden County Clerk, and that is Becca again.
Well, hello again. I should have started by apologizing. I talk very fast and with my hands. So if there's any questions about that, please just tell me to put my hands down, not a problem. So the Crittenden County Clerk is requesting funds to microfilm, scan and digitize and electronically index deed books, marriage register books, Freedmen's Declaration of Marriages, and marriage bond books with date ranges between 1842 and 2016. They're also requesting funds for storage materials, including archival boxes, cases, sleeves, and binders. Looking through the project, everything matched. The only thing that we noticed is there was some a slight math problem, so it fixed that to change it, recommending full funding for this as well for all sections as they had presented it.
Does anyone have any questions for Becca about the Crittenden County Clerk application? Can I get a motion to recommend funding at $29,898? Proposed project.
I make a motion that we recommend funding.
I'll second.
Okay, thank
I'll
you.
second.
Thank you. Right. Next, we will go to the Dayton City Clerk, and that is with Beth Williams.
Good morning. Okay, the Dayton City Clerk requested grant funds to scan, digitize, index, and upload all of their archived paper files. However, in their application, they did not specify the exact volume or the record series or the date range. They said that they have an estimated 75 standard bankers boxes of records in 3 separate locations. So after reviewing everything, they also requested 3 desktop scanners. So in addition to the scanning project, they also requested equipment. So after reviewing everything, we recommend partial funding. We did not recommend funding to scan, digitize, and index and upload their archive paper files from a vendor. Because in order to do that, the records need to be inventoried first and identified. But we did recommend funding for the 3 pieces of equipment, the 3 desktop scanners, in order to allow them to start inventorying and scanning their own records, especially the very old ones that need to be saved. So we recommended for denial $11,250,000, which was for the scan, digitize, index, and upload 75 boxes. But we did recommend for funding $2,097 for the 3 scanners to put at their 3 storage locations.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Beth regarding the city of Dayton?
Yes, I have a question. What happens to the equipment when the project is finished?
I mean, the equipment would be stayed, that they would keep it to continue to scan their records. So it's, go ahead, Nicole.
That's fine. So are you meaning inventory or for the term of the project or just how long they intend to keep it, period? So I don't, which context? I don't understand.
You're buying the equipment for them. They're going to digitize the material, which I assume, I don't know how long it'll take, but I mean, they'll get it done eventually. So what happens to the equipment when that project is finished?
It becomes part of their inventory, and that's what we expect when any equipment is purchased with grant funds. The local agency should record it in their inventory and maintain it as such. Once it's obsolete, depending on if it can be returned to KDLA and there's any value with it, because equipment does depreciate over time, it ages out. They can either return it to KDLA or they can dispose of it, as they would. But I would imagine after about 3 years, the equipment, may be not obsolete, but not as new or high end. So it becomes part of their inventory, and they will just keep it until it's obsolete and they need to replace it. Does that help? Does that explain?
Yeah, I guess I just wonder if maybe after, once they finish that, then if somebody else could use it for a similar project.
That could be considered. We could consider doing that, but generally, when the program gives out equipment grants, it becomes the property, so to speak, of the local agency until they no longer need it. And we have been contacted before by agencies wanting to return equipment. I don't imagine that they would want to return this equipment because they're just getting started on their records management activities. They have a lot of, they need to do a clean out and inventory their records. And I'm sure the objective is to have them digitized for easy access. So rather than recommend funding a box full of records that we have no idea what they are, we are going to work with the local agency on their records management, and we're going to provide them the equipment. So as they go through and identify the records that can be disposed of and send us destruction certificates, they can scan their more current records for access.
Okay.
But this is why we're here. And if you know, as a group, you all decide that we should not recommend funding for this particular agency, the Dayton City Clerk, that is what we will do.
Yeah. No, I see no reason not to recommend it. I mean, apparently it's something that really needs to be done.
Yes, yes, yes. Can I have a motion to recommend funding for the Dayton City Clerk at $2,097?
Yeah, I'll recommend it.
Okay. A second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any opposition, any opposed?
Well, it looks like they're just requesting the boxes and things. I don't see in this where they're requesting employee time or salary. It just looks like the things that they're recommending just cost a ton. If I'm looking at it correctly, it's one-time cost for scan all the back files using 75 units of banker's boxes. I don't understand why they're just getting partial.
I'm I need the application.
Where's it in your office?
On the table behind my desk in a pile. Left-hand side, second from the left. Give me just a few minutes, please.
While you're doing that, did we skip Clinton County for a particular reason?
I'm sorry. We
Clinton
did. We skipped
County.
Clinton. The
Okay.
reason being is the South Central RA was not in
Oh,
attendance,
gotcha,
and it's one of his. So we're going to cycle back around as soon as we finish with Dayton. We'll start back at the beginning.
Thank you, Nicole.
Okay, if I understand, and please correct me, so you're wondering why it should be a partial award and not a full award? Okay. In the bid, it says they are going to scan all back files for the city, and they have an estimated 75 standard banker boxes. And the city is going to remove all staples, binder clips, et cetera. And the vendor is going to scan all the files into 75 boxes and index them, and then migrate the scanned files into Centrifile, which I imagine is the local agency's system software. And then they wanted 3 desktop scanners in order to do this. And the vendor was going to use the desktop scanners to scan the back files for the city. The issue is we do not know what the back files are. They are not indicated. We don't know if they're permanent records, if they're temporary records. Generally, temporary records are not security microfilmed or digitized, depending on the record. So if it's parking logs or sign in and sign out sheet, those are not critical to daily operations or vital to daily operations of the local agency. And we really need to know what the records are. Might be that majority of the records in those 75 boxes can be disposed of via the destruction certificate. So it does not make sense to digitize or even go further, either security microfilm, which is not what they're asking for. But if we were to look at the records management of the agency as a whole, we need to find out exactly what are in those boxes. And I did speak to the clerk and talk to her about it first. So they are willing and were understood that we could possibly do a partial award, and they were willing to go ahead and apply for the 3 desktop scanners. Originally, she wanted 4, but the bid specifies 3, so we had to go with 3. Does that make better sense?
Yes, ma'am, I did not know that. So
Yeah.
you're learning something, so thank you for that clarification.
Sure. Okay. Any more questions about it? We have a good hour and a half or so we've got plenty of time to go through and answer any of your questions or concerns that you might have about a particular project or the specifications. Okay. Then we do have, for that particular agency, the Dayton City Clerk, we did have a motion to recommend funding and a second, and we shall move on and circle back around to the Anderson County Clerk. Oh, there you are. I was looking for you, Larry, and your position moved. I'm so glad to see you. So we will let you begin with the Anderson County Clerk.
Yes, I want to apologize. I was trying to sign in on a view only and it didn't work too well. I could see you guys, but I couldn't communicate. Okay. Well, the Anderson County was strictly security microfilm. A lot of it was 16, some 35 for the plats and stuff. And it's very important records, and the security of these are something that the clerks are really concerned of. So I thought it was a good project. So we did. It was requested at $10,145.25, and we did recommend full funding for the project.
Apologies. Does anyone have any questions for Larry for the Anderson County Clerk application? Hearing none, if I could get a motion to approve funding.
So move.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any opposition? Any opposed? Okay. Thank you. Moving on again, and we will go back to Larry for the Clinton County Clerk.
Well, as you saw, it was 3 sections applied for by the Clinton County Clerk. All 3 sections were, to me, good projects. They were well written, I thought, by the clerk for the invitation to bid and everything. But for some reason, the vendor added steps in section 2 and 3, well, in section 2, that were not part of the grant request, the bid request. They included security microfilm for some reason, and these records have already been security microfilm. So therefore, we were able to ask for approval for the scanning of the materials that have not been scanned for the uploading and indexing. But like I say, since the the uploading portion of it, section 2, included microfilming, which was not supposed to be part of the project. And section 3, we would go back and be dependent on section 2. The only thing we could actually recommend would be the section 1 for the scanning of the materials. So what we have requested is $22,750 for the scanning of D books A through K and 1 through 60.
Does anyone have any questions for Larry about the Clinton County Clerk application? Okay, thank you. Can I have a motion to recommend funding? At
So moved.
$22,000, thank you, $750. Anyone second?
Second.
Thank you. Next, we will move to the Florence City Clerk, and we are back with Beth Williams.
Hello again. Okay, the Florence City Clerk requested $54,160 to digitize and security microfilm, ordinance books, minutes, resolutions, municipal orders, executive orders, and personnel files. As you can see, section 1 was for digitization and section 2 was for security microfilming. We recommended partial funding. We did not recommend funding of funding for digitization of personnel files. Personnel files are less than permanent, and not only that, but they contain, in the record series, contains multiple closeout and retention periods. So we do not recommend digitization and microfilming of those. So we recommended for denial $15,774, which was the digitization of the personnel files. We did, however, recommend funding for the digitization and the security microfilming of the ordinance books, the official minutes, the resolutions, the municipal orders, and the executive orders, which is $38,385. 44 for that.
Does anyone have any questions for Beth about the Florence City Clerk application? Any questions or concerns at all? Okay. May I have a motion to recommend funding at $38,385.44?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. A second?
Second.
Thank you. Any opposition? Motion is carried. All of them so far are carried. Next, we have the Irvine City Clerk, and that is with Robert Beelan.
Good morning. The Irvine City Clerk, who is located in beautiful Estill County in eastern Kentucky, contacted me with concerns about their plats. Currently, their plats are merely rolled up and tied, and they are concerned that that's not a very good way to preserve those records. And so what they are wanting, or what they are requesting, is an equipment grant to obtain a plat cabinet, as well as some zippered perma envelopes, so that these very vital records can be protected and preserved in a better manner, as well as it's going to help them provide a more efficient process to access these records. They are requesting $5,995, and we as a branch recommend full funding for this project.
Does anyone have any questions for Bob?
I would like to just add, Bob, thank you so much for working with the city clerk on this. I love the city clerk in Irvine, and
Yeah.
they really need all the help they can get.
Yes. Thank
Very
you.
good. Very good. Do I have a motion to recommend funding?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. And a second?
I'll second. I just didn't feel like I should make the motion after putting a little advertisement out there for Urban.
All in favor? Say thank you. Any opposed? The motion is carried. Thank you all so much. Thank you. We are back to also Bob with the, I'm sorry, Larry, Jackson City Clerk.
And basically, Jackson has the same problem we were just discussing with Irving. They have one plat cabinet or two that are completely full, and they have been rolling them and storing them. And they also need a plat cabinet with the zippered sleeves. Theirs is $3,766.77. And so, you know, that's what we have asked for during this cycle.
Does anybody have any questions for Larry for the Jackson City Clerk? May I have a motion to approve, to recommend funding at 3,787, rounded up?
So move.
Okay. And a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. And we are back with Larry again with the Jessamine County Clerk.
It's becoming a habit. No, Jessamine County is applying for preservation for some of their oldest deed books and general indexes to the deeds, will books and stuff. And the total was $56,065. That takes care of 27 of their deed books dated from 1799 to 1922. And like I say, some of the indexed deeds and wills go back to 1798. So we are, you know, have recommended full funding for that project.
Does anyone have questions for Larry for the Jessamine County Clerk? May I have a motion to approve funding or recommend funding at $56,065?
So move.
A second?
I'll second.
Okay. Thank you. All in favor? Okay. Any opposed? Motion is carried. We are back to Beth Williams with the Kenton County Police Department.
I'm back. Okay, so the Kenton County Police Department requested $114,006.42. That was corrected from just a small math error they did on their application to scan and security microfilm 3 types of records. The first being felony investigation files, the second being identification card files, and the third being personnel files. Again, partial funding was recommended for 2 reasons. The first reason, on section 2, the identification card files, currently those record series are being reviewed because those types of records are found in multiple record series. So those are currently being reviewed to potentially be consolidated, and it could change the retention. So we don't recommend that they scan and microfilm them, those records at this time. And then section 3, just like I talked about in Florence, the personnel files are not recommended for scanning and security microfilming. They're not permanent records. They have multiple retentions and disposition instructions depending on the type of personnel record they are. So that being said, we did recommend funding, partial funding of the felony investigation files. So section 1, I'm sorry, I got myself confused here. So partial funding was recommended for $63,558.92.
Does anyone have any questions for Beth regarding the Kenton County Police Department application? Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion to recommend funding? Thank you. And a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor? Okay, any opposed? Motion carries.
It's a lot.
We are back to Mr. Larry Barnett with the Lake Cumberland Area Development District.
Yes, Lake Cumberland is requesting a salary grant. They want to go back and scan and upload into the system all their fall board and executive committee minutes dating from 2003 to 2021. We thought it was a good deal and have recommended full funding for that, which is $6,750.
Does anyone have any questions for Larry regarding the Lake Cumberland Area Development District application? Okay, hearing none, may I have a motion to recommend funding?
So move.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Thank you. The motion is carried. We are back to the Ms. Becca with the Marshall County Clerk.
All right. The Marshall County Clerk is requesting grant funds to scan, index, marry, and security microfilm some deed books dating from 1848 to 1937. When we were reviewing the project, it was noted that the records had actually been previously microfilmed through a grant project way back in the 80s. So that section does not need to be done. That security microfilm exists. However, because of the age of that project, digital images do not exist. So we do recommend funding for the section 1, the scan, index, and linking those deed books for them. And that recommended amount is $16,766.
Does anyone have any questions for Becca regarding the Marshall County Clerk application? Hearing none, may I have a motion to recommend funding?
So move.
And a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Motion is carried. And we are again still with Ms. Becca with the McLean County.
The bottom half of the alphabet is very heavy towards me, so you're going to hear a lot of my voice in the next few minutes. The McLean County Clerk is requesting funds to microfilm 193 permanent records dating between 1978 and 2021. These have not been security microfilmed before. The clerk they do keep up with their digitization and uploading. So we're recommending full funding of this project in the amount of $10,250.
Does anybody have any questions for Becca regarding the McLean County Clerk? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve, to recommend funding?
So move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor? Any opposition? Any opposed? Okay. Motion is carried. And again, with Becca and the McLean County Fiscal Court.
All right, so the McLean County Fiscal Court is requesting grant funds to codify ordinances and resolutions dating between 1960 and 2021. There's approximately 900 resolution, about 3,000 pages. Has not been done before. So we are requesting full funding for this project in the amount of $9,750.
Does anyone have any questions for Becca? Okay, may I have a motion to recommend funding for the McLean County Fiscal Court application? Thank you. And motion a second? I'm sorry, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is Bob Beelan with the Montgomery County Clerk.
All right, so the Montgomery County Clerk, they have over 1,000 plats that they desire to scan and index and make those available online. So with that desire, they are requesting grant funds to purchase a large plat scanner / printer in the amount of $9,680. The local records branch recommends full funding for this project in order for them to scan, index, and make those records available online.
Does anyone have any questions about the project for Bob? Okay. May I have a motion to recommend funding? Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Okay. Any opposed? The motion is carried. And we are back to Rebecca with the Nortonville City Clerk.
All right. The city of Nortonville in Hopkins County is requesting grant funds to purchase a map cabinet. They're in the midst of, they're going to be moving some rooms to provide better access, and they've realized that they have a lot of oversized permanent records that will need some storage. So they're asking to purchase a large map cabinet. We're recommending full funding in the amount of $2,165.20.
Does anyone have any questions for Becca about Nortonville City Clerk? Hearing none, may I have a motion to recommend funding?
Recommend funding.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? Ms. McCarty, you're opposed? Okay, just being sure. Okay. The motion is carried.
I was
And we,
game. Slow.
we're just glad you're here. Thank you. We are back to Becca with the Paducah Police Department.
All right, so the Paducah Police Department, located in McCracken County, is requesting funds to scan and index approximately 100 cubic feet or 232,000 pages of felony investigation files dated between 1981 and 2006. They also request them to be repackaged in new standardized storage boxes for better storage and access for their staff. This is part of an ongoing project through the local or through the Paducah Police Department, where they are going through and they are organizing these records in this format. So we are recommending full funding for that, for scanning and indexing and repacking them in the amount of $42,772.
Does anyone have any questions about Paducah
Yeah, I don't have
Police Department? Okay.
I really have a question about the request, and I don't mean to jump ahead to the scoring, but I was a little bit surprised when I saw the rankings of the staff, and this one appeared to me to rank at the very bottom of the list. And I guess I was just a little bit surprised. Are there concerns from the staff about the urgency of this one?
I'm going to let all staff chime in, because we did meet as a group in internal review, and they ranked the applications. So this was one of the ones that fell at the bottom, low urgency, low priority. And you all, do you all want to talk about it? Explain why it is low, please?
I can start. It was lower because it's not security microphone, so it doesn't reach that high level of that preservation. So digitization was always a little bit lower. And then the records are long-term, and they're important, and it is part of a longer term ongoing project, but those records are not permanent. So that brought it down. We still thought it was a good project. It just wasn't as high as some of these other ones on the list.
Does it make better sense or no?
Marginally, honestly. I mean, when you compare it to some of the other projects that were ranked higher, it's really difficult to see. Now, I do understand that, I guess what those felony records are not permanent. Are they 72 years? Is that
They are 50. They
50,
used to be 80.
Yeah, okay.
Recently, the retention was changed. What was in the general schedule was 80 years. What was in Lexington, Fayette, and Louisville Metro was 50 years. A commission member requested that we look into it and make them mirror. So we went through and discussed with several local enforcement agencies about that particular record, and it was recommended to make them the same. And
Okay.
we did so.
Okay. I suppose it's not an issue because I think there's sufficient funding probably to do all of them.
Is.
But in the future, I think it may be an issue. I do feel like these felony, from the description, these are pretty important records, and the police department needs access to them. And so I think it's important this project be done. I just feel like it maybe should be given a little higher priority. But since everything's to be funded at this point, I guess it's moot. I'm just a little bit concerned about how it's ranked.
Does any of the other RAs want to comment on the reason for this, or is that sufficient? You think Becca responded sufficiently?
I think Becca did good with this one, but I think one thing we need to think about, Wayne, is there's many of these felony files that's not going to be looked at after 5 years or whatever. It's the more crucial as far as homicide, stuff like that, the ones that are really a main importance is a different series, and they are permanent, and they would get a high priority. But the majority of the records we're talking about here, the felony case files, are going to be minimum use after say the case is settled and the appeal time has expired, stuff like that. It's going to be a very, very small percentage that's really going to be used much in the future. And mainly the reason that they want to do the scanning and stuff is just for quicker access.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Larry. I appreciate that.
Beth, did you want to respond?
I was just saying that I agree with everything that Rebecca said, that is what we discussed as a group, and why it was prioritized. And again, as I just want to reiterate that we think it's a good project. It was just, you have to rank them, and sometimes older records, permanent records, and security microfilming does make priority higher.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there any other questions for the Paducah Police Department application? And hearing none, can I have a motion to recommend funding?
I recommend funding.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? The motion is carried. We are back to Becca again for the Penny Ryle Area Development District.
Still me. So the Penny Ryle Area Development District, which is housed in Kitchen County, are requesting $2,500 in to digitize their annual audits from 1969 to 2019. They are requesting this as a salary grant. These are permanent records and will help their office. So we are recommending full funding for that in the amount of $2,500.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, may I have a motion to recommend funding for the Penny Ryle Area Development District application? Thank you. A second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Motion carries. We are back with Becca again with the Sacramento City Clerk.
All right, I'm closing a couple of tabs here. So the Sacramento City Clerk in McLean County is requesting funds to codify ordinances between 2005 and 2020. And they're asking to codify some ordinances. So it is a good project. It needs to be done, and it meets the criteria. So we are recommending total or full funding in the amount of $6,750.
Are there any questions for Becca for the Sacramento City Clerk? Hearing none, may I have a motion to recommend funding?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, thank you. And
I'll
a
second.
second? Okay,
I'll
thank you.
second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, the motion is carried. Again, with Becca and the Salem City Clerk.
Yes, so the Salem City Clerk, Salem is located in Livingston County, are requesting funds to purchase some fireproof filing cabinets to store their permanent and long-term records. Again, storage, they need it. Their records are, it'll provide additional and safer access and storage to those. So we are recommending funding for, it's a total of 7 filing cabinets in the amount of $11,332.
Are there any questions for Becca regarding this application? Hearing none, may I have a motion to recommend funding?
I'll make them. Oh,
Thank you. And a second, please? Okay, thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. And we are at the last two before we take a brief break. And we are back with Rebecca Haltmeyer and the Webster County Clerk.
All right, this is the last time you have to listen to me for this. So the Webster County Clerk is requesting funds to electronically index, link to their digitized index, and upload to the county clerk's website for public use and records. They're requesting this as a salary grant. The records that they're requesting are listed. They're commissioner deed books, deeds of partition books, processioner books, and marriage colored books. There was a slight math error, so the amount that they requested, $15,600, has been calculated to $15,615, and we are recommending full funding for that. So in the amount of $15,615.
Does anyone have any questions for Becca about this project? Hearing none, may I have a motion to recommend funding?
So moved.
Thank you. And a second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor? Okay. Any opposed? The motion is carried. And we are at the final one, and we are back with Larry Barnett and the Woodford County Clerk.
Yes, they have applied to scan and index or connect entries for their deed books and mortgage books from, the deed books from 1990 to 2005 and the mortgage books from 1989 to 2007. They're doing this, the pandemic makes access, especially out of office access, more important than ever. And that's one of the reasons they're trying to do it. Plus, they want a better access for the attorneys and staff and, the researchers. So we thought it would be a good thing to do. These records have been previously microfilmed. So anyway, we did adjust the total. They had requested a lesser amount, but the hourly rate was not up to what was the requirement. So that was changed to $27,375 is what has been requested. I think it's good. So,
Does anyone have any questions for Larry regarding the Woodford County Clerk application? And hearing none, may I have a motion to recommend funding?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, thank you. And a second, please.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? And the motion is carried. At this time, we will take a 10-minute break. We have been, we have not been. Do you have your scores? I apologize that I did not ask for them. We will circle back to the top and I will ask for your scores. Thank you. Anderson County Clerk, Ms. McCarty. Do you have a score for the Anderson County Clerk?
Don't have any scores, period.
Okay, that's quite fine. Does anyone have their scores? Yes, Ms. Daniels, would you read me your scores?
Anderson? You're going down the list. You said Anderson?
Yes,
Okay.
Anderson is
Anderson, I got 27.
27. Okay. Bowling Green. Or actually, I'll tell you what, if anyone has their scores, I will call off the application and then I will record them. So Ms. Daniels, we are at Anderson. Ms. Daniels said 27. Wayne, do you have scores?
Yes, Anderson, 18.5.
18.5. And Mr. Schroeder, do you have scores?
I had 22.
22. Okay. Ms. Patterson? It's not a problem. Thank you. You're muted.
I don't have my scores with me. I can send them to you after. I'm sorry.
No, it's not a problem. We're
And
going
I
to do all
apologize
this.
for having to jump on the phone. I've had someone trying to call me all morning.
Yeah, it's not a problem. We're going to do it as we go. So now we are at the City of Bowling Green. Ms. Daniels. You're muted.
28.
Oh, I'm sorry. What was the number again? I'm sorry.
28.
28. Mr. Wayne,
22.5.
22.5. And Mr. Dave,
23.
23. We are now at Callaway, Ms. Daniels.
21.
21, Mr. Wayne.
20.5.
20.5, and Mr. Dave.
20.
20. Clinton County Clerk, Ms. Daniels.
21.
21, thank you. And Mr. Wayne.
18.5.
18.5, and Mr. Dave.
19.
19. Crittenden County Clerk, Ms. Daniels.
21.
Thank you. Mr. Wayne.
23.5.
And Mr. Dave.
22.
Thank you. Dayton City Clerk,
14.5.
thank you. Mr. Wayne,
16.5.
thank you. And Mr. Dave,
17.
thank you. Florence City Clerk, Ms. Daniels,
24.
thank you. 24. And Mr. Wayne,
23.5.
23.5. And Mr. Dave,
25.
25. Irvine City Clerk, Ms. Daniels,
24.
and Mr. Dave, I'm sorry, Mr. Wayne,
21.5.
21.5. And Mr. Dave,
22.
22. Jackson City Clerk, Ms. Daniels,
17.
19. And Mr. Wayne,
20.5.
20.5. And Mr. Dave,
19.
19. Jessamine County Clerk, Ms. Daniels,
24.
24. And Mr. Wayne,
22.5.
22.5. And Mr. Dave,
23.
23. Kenton County Police Department, Ms. Daniels,
24.
24. Mr. Wayne,
18.5.
18.5. And Mr. Dave,
20.
okay. Lake Cumberland Area Development District, Ms. Daniels,
22.
22. Mr. Wayne,
16.5.
16.5. And Mr. Dave,
18.
18. I was at Kenton County, I've lost track. Where was it?
Marshall.
Thank you. Marshall County, my finger slipped. Marshall County Clerk, Ms. Daniels,
25.
25. Mr. Wayne,
19.5.
19.5. And Mr. Dave,
21.
21. McLean County Clerk, Ms. Daniels,
24.
okay. Mr. Wayne,
Oh, yeah, that's right. Sorry, I had two in a
20.5.
row.
sorry, you said 20.5?
Yes, uh-huh.
It was 20.5. I'm sorry, Mr. Wayne.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Okay, 20.5. And then Mr. Dave,
22.
22. All right, McLean County Fiscal Court,
24. Same.
thank you. Mr. Wayne,
20.5.
20.5. And Mr. Dave,
20.
okay. Montgomery County Clerk, Ms. Daniels,
19.
19. Mr. Wayne,
20.5.
20.5. And Mr. Dave,
19.
19. Nortonville City Clerk, Ms. Daniels,
22.
okay. Mr. Wayne,
21.5.
okay. And Mr. Dave,
20.
okay. Paducah Police Department, Ms. Daniels,
25.
okay.
23.5.
Okay. And Mr. Dave.
22.
All right. Penny Rowell Area Development District, Ms. Daniels,
21.
okay. Mr. Wayne,
18.5.
all right. And Mr. Dave.
19.
Nice. Sacramento. I'm at Sacramento, right?
Yes.
Sacramento City Clerk, Ms. Daniels,
13.5.
Mr. Wayne,
20.5.
okay. And Mr. Dave,
17.
okay. And Salem City Clerk,
19.
Mr. Wayne,
17.5.
okay. And Mr. Dave,
18.
18. Webster County Clerk, Ms. Daniels,
25.
25. Mr. Wayne,
23.5.
Okay, and then Mr. Day,
26.
26. Yes,
Yes.
all right.
6.
Woodford County Clerk, Ms. Daniels,
25.
25. Mr. Wayne,
22.5.
22.5, and Mr. Dave,
22.
22. At this point now, we will take a 10-minute break. We're going to rank your scores, and we will come back with a final recommendation. So we will return at 11:20. Yeah, 11:20. We will be back. Thank you so much.
Hey, Larry, you got baseball games this week? Oh, I can hear.
We have a game tonight, Thursday and Friday.
Well, we got good weather at least.
Yeah, I think DJ is supposed to be pitching Friday night, I think.
Oh, is he?
So, I think he's
Who
going
they
to pitch
playing?
against, well, let's see.
Or
They
who's he
play
pitching?
East Jessamine on Thursday, but he pitched against West Jessamine. They're one of the top teams in the state on
No,
Friday.
really.
Yeah.
My daughter-in-law teaches at East Jessamine.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we play them Thursday night.
Oh,
And they're not 100% sure yet, I think, whether he's going to pitch against East Jessamine or West Jessamine.
Hmm.
But they know they're going to need, all the help they can get against West Jessamine. And they said it was kind of leaning that way, but we just have to see how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
We play Chevy County tonight. That's who it is. We play that one at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good. Good. Yeah, it should be nice.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I don't know.
When does the tournament start?
The last part of May.
Mhm.
I wanna
It's coming
say
up.
20
Yeah,
something.
Mhm.
Yeah, district tournament is the 29th and 30th. So actually it's going to be after school's out, I think. So they have, of course, they have the district and the regional and the state, so you're talking probably second week in June before it's going to be complete. So you'll probably already be traveling in travel ball before then,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Where does this traveling team go?
We see we got one in Indiana, got a wood bat tournament in Tennessee, Cincinnati, Louisville, Lexington. I don't know. I haven't seen the complete schedule, but I know those, I kind of like the wood tournament and the wood bat tournament. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. You just never know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I say, I haven't seen, I don't know if they have the 100% completed the schedule on some of the dates.
Mhm.
I think they had a couple choices and I don't know if they've ever, 100% confirmed either one,
Yeah.
So you've been doing okay?
Yeah. Been busy. My mother is taking treatments in Lexington for her back 3 days a week. So I did the one yesterday. My sister's doing the one to next 2 days. Then next week I'm doing all three of them. So
You may as well stay in London.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
That'd be a long drive every, 3 days in a row, huh?
It is. Yeah. I don't know if she's going to be able to do it or not. It's kind of grueling.
Yeah, I mean, you got back problems and traveling that far.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
that's a long haul just from,
Plus she's got heart
London.
problems and,
Right.
so we'll see. I don't know.
makes it rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, other than that, yeah, that's been keeping me busy the last month.
Yeah.
And, but just do what you have to do.
That's what we have to do, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So it's been that
Sometimes we
long. That's
don't
right.
have any choice. We just have to do it.
That's right. Now, when are you gonna be able to start getting out on the road again?
I think it opens. I don't think it opened this week. I think it's next week it opens.
Is it?
I think that's right. So, yeah.
Yes, you got a long list of people that you need to visit, I guess.
Well, there's several, that I need to break down and get to occasionally, but
Yeah.
I have been able to take care of most of mine, with virtual and through telephone and different things, of course, there's always a few things when it comes to record appraisal that you can't really, you have to have hands on in some of it
Yeah.
to actually know 100% what you're doing,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I've been very fortunate, and a lot of times they would send me pictures or photos or whatever, of their questions and things like that. And I was able to help a lot of people, that way. So I'm not way behind, but I am some, especially with the newer clerks and stuff like that, that not familiar with a lot of the older materials at all,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure this has been a tough time for the clerks trying to deal with all this.
No, I'm sure it has, all the way around, issues with receiving and delivering merchandise and doing the recordings and stuff. I mean, just there several issues, access issues. I mean, it's just been an ongoing array of stuff,
Yeah. I guess the county clerks are glad there's no election this year to get a little bit of a break.
That's a good thing. I don't know. I don't think I have spoken in 20 years. I don't think I've spoken with the county clerk that look forward to election.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know I've had county clerks tell me that they was retiring, and some of them have retired before the election, just so they didn't have to deal with another election. But most of them have been gracious enough to say, if you need help with the new clerk, if you need help, well, call me. I will help you, but at least I don't have the responsibility of it this time,
Yeah.
So, and they are a pain,
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, and the people are just getting more and more ridiculous to try to work with.
Right, and it now with because of the pandemic, I mean, a lot of things have changed as well. I mean, a lot of procedures, a lot of yeses and nos. I mean, things that used to not be possible are now possible. So there's been a lot of guideline changes that they have to adhere to as well. Which has definitely made it more complicated all the way around.
Yeah.
How long have you been retired now, Wayne?
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was somewhere close to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking either 4 or 5.
Yeah. It's gone by fast.
I'm sure it has. Sure it has. But you still enjoying it, right?
Oh yeah.
For the most part.
I love retirement. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got something to look forward to.
Yeah. I am in a way. I'm just, biding time right now and trying to make my decision, and whatever decision I make, it has to be right for me. So
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And it's probably not a,
but I
not
know
a
it's getting close. I do know it's getting close. Just
Yeah.
don't know how close yet.
Yeah, and then and you need to wait a little bit now, probably before you make that decision, just to make
Yeah,
sure.
I wouldn't make any major decision right now until some time goes by.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's pretty much on anything right now, unless,
Hmm.
unless my hand's forced and I have to make a decision, I would rather put it off for a little while.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that I don't forget to think the whole thing through on whatever.
Yeah.
I do know it's beautiful outside today. Might be a little bit on the cool side, but it is beautiful out there.
Yeah,
I'm
so nice.
looking out my window and it's beautiful outside and I want to go out.
Yeah, it would probably be very nice to be out there today.
Yep.
And I was telling Wayne, my son has a baseball game today, tomorrow and Friday, actually. I'm kind of looking forward to that,
Yeah. Good baseball weather. Not too hot.
Yeah. We went to Cincinnati the other day on the 13-12 game, and it was
Oh, did you?
a great game and beautiful weather too. So, it was really nice.
I wish they would play now like they were last month, but
Oh yeah. Yeah, they tailed off some, but
yeah.
the capability is there.
Yes.
Okay, we're back a few minutes early, and since we are, we'll go ahead and finish this so that you all can leave. We have compiled the committee member rubric scoring. FY22 applications are ranked as follows. Webster County Clerk, 25. Bowling Green, City of Bowling Green, 25. Florence City Clerk, 24. Paducah Police Department, 24. Jessamine County Clerk, 23. Woodford County Clerk, 23. Anderson County Clerk, 23. Irvine City Clerk, 23. Crittenden County Clerk, 22. McLean County Clerk, 22. Marshall County Clerk, 22. McLean County Fiscal Court, 22. Nortonville City Clerk, 21. Kenton County Police Department, 21. Callaway County Clerk, 21. Clinton County Clerk, 20. Jackson City Clerk, Jackson County Clerk. Have that, correct that. Jackson County Clerk, 20. Montgomery County Clerk, 20. Penny Rowell Area Development District, 20. Lake Cumberland ADD Area Development District, 19. Salem City Clerk, 18. Sacramento City Clerk, 17. And Dayton City Clerk, that did not print out, is 16. Dayton didn't print out, okay. And Dayton City Clerk is 16. Total award recommended for fiscal year 2022, cycle 1 is $404,615.81. May I have a motion to recommend funding to the State Libraries, Archives, and Records Commission in this amount for 23 applications for fiscal year 22, cycle 1?
Let me ask, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Does that fund all the projects?
Yes, it does.
Then I'll
It
move
does.
that.
$404,000, $615.81.
Then I recommend.
The allotment for each cycle is $592,200. So we have enough money to fund all.
Okay, and I move that
Thank
we
you.
recommend funding.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. Thank you so much. Next on the agenda is other business. Is there anything that you all would like to discuss at this time?
Yeah, I'd just like to add a couple of things. I understand that when we rank, we use the information that's provided to us in the application exclusively. So our rankings are going to be different from the staff's somewhat because the staff has a lot more information than we do. I've mentioned to you before, I'd like to see this. I'd like to see the evaluation revised, and I'd like to see the score sheet revised. I feel like in a lot of places, the score sheet doesn't reflect what the information that's on the application. I think it ought to be really easy to transfer from what's on the application to the score sheet, and I don't think it's that easy. I don't know if the other scores agree with me or not, and I think there's a lot of places where on the application we could the clerks could use a check off. Do you have this? Do you not have this? And I just think that would be fair, easier to score. I think it would make it easier for the clerks to file an application if we did it that way. And I think the object should be simplicity, but at the same time, we should be able to compare information between the different agencies. So I just like to make that request that the application be revised for simplicity, and that the score sheet be redesigned to match the new application.
I agree. I find it difficult scoring sometimes. I just feel like I'm kind of sometimes pulling a number out of the air as best I can, but I don't always feel like I have what I need when I'm trying to score.
I agree. I feel like the scoring system is set up to where I'm scoring more based on how well they filled out their application, instead of, I mean, like, I was really shocked to see Friedman's marriage records in one of the lists, and I went, oh my gosh, like, this is amazing. And some of them went way back. I'm like, I would love to give them higher scores because I want this done. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's urgency, and then there's record usage. I mean, I deal with record usage all the time. My researchers would definitely want this to be preserved or made available to bigger audiences, and I can't score in that way. It's literally just about, how did they fill this out? Were they thorough in their explanation of the impact? Are they committed to a records program? You know, do they have fireproofing? It's literally that kind of check mark. And number one, I also do think that it's a little bit out of order when we go down the list on the form. I feel like I'm having to hop, skip, and jump. So yeah, I wish there was something where we were giving some sort of scoring based on how we saw the value of the project, because our perspectives are coming from different places. We're not staff. I'm coming from a research, segment of the community. And so I'd love to have some sort of evaluation on that, even if it's just one of the categories that I score, but.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the feedback. So you want to know more about the records, the specifications, correct? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, I want to be able to score that way. I see
Or
the
that
record.
way?
I see the record, but there's no valuation except for, I'm only allowed to give a score based on how they're filling out their form. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do understand what you're saying. So the criteria that's on the rubric, the urgency of the records, none of that.
That's not in the wording. Urgency is not in our wording. That's on the staff side. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, the way the rankings were given, you guys give us a ranking that says includes urgency on there. That's not in our rubric. There's nowhere that says we get to score on urgency.
It says urgency of problem. That's a criteria title. But when you look into the text of what that means, it's defined just to say within the four corners of the document, how are they explaining, how does the applicant indicate the historical, significance of records? How does the applicant, not really what do we think? Because I did the same thing she did. When I saw the Friedman records, of course, I was like, oh, wow, look, but
okay, I see the word urgency of problem, but it's like the applicant thoughtfully describes the scope of the project with an overview of activities and expected result. Applicant defines critical records problems that exist indicates historical significance. I'm like, that's how they're filling it out. That's how they're able to articulate the problem. That's my scoring. It's not on, do I see the urgency? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, as they've described, am I able to say, I see an urgency here, but this is how are they presenting this to us on there? And so it's how they are doing that. And that's where I feel like I'm limited in my scoring.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate the feedback. Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
If I may, to me, like when they fill out these applications, it's all urgent. Only because I think if they hadn't filled them out, it would be urgent. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. Number two, like I love that you explained to me in the explanations that have been given, like why you score it the way you score it. I didn't know any of that. But in my mind, like if we're going back to say personnel records, I understand your reasoning and I respect that. But in my mind, as a researcher, I want to see somebody's personnel record only because, like, if my granddad, for example, worked at KDLA, I know he didn't, I'm just throwing it out there. I would want to know if he had, like, what decisions he made, what was his job, like that kind of stuff. But maybe, like, that's not everybody's perspective. But I totally understand. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I just want to know more of like how the staff does it versus how we do it. I think there's a disconnect, and I see where hopefully maybe I'm understanding what you guys are saying.
I understand. Thank you for the feedback. This is going to be useful as we work to improve the program, make the application process easier, and especially easier for those who wish to apply. So thank you for all of the feedback. This is being recorded. I have taken notes, and we will make every effort to institute these and make this easier. And we may be calling on you for additional feedback as we work through this. So bear with us. And unfortunately, and fortunately, as you know, the local records program grants, they never end. So one cycle ends, another begins. And in between time, in those 2 6-month periods, we are working on everything that needs to be done. And now we're starting to work on the timeline for the next cycle, which will begin in July, which is right around the corner. So thank you. We're going to take all of this. We will probably meet after this review committee meeting and talk about some of your feedback, if not all, and see what we can do to start incorporating a lot of what you need or what you requested.
I have a question. Well, first of all, I think in years past, by the way, I really do like the summary sheet you guys have included though, from the staff side. That really does help me kind of get the thought process of what you guys are thinking. So that does give me extra information. I like that. Secondly, was based on last year or last cycle, because of COVID, there was a lot of money left over that's like,
Yes.
keeps carrying over.
It does.
Okay. Cause like the total requested was 600 and some thousand, and based on the recommendations, we're like, 400 and some thousand, but there's still quite a bit left, isn't there, to fund?
Yes.
Okay.
So I believe right now we're right under $900,000. I don't know the exact total off the top of my head. So with this, we will cut that down to about half.
Okay.
We will receive an allotment or the money that comes in, because it comes in, I think, every 6 months. I can't remember exactly. So we'll receive that. So we'll have that much money. Cycle 2 is generally our heavier cycle on the applications. Cycle 1 includes the salary grants. They cannot cross the state fiscal year. So most of the heavier or heavyweight projects, microfilming, a lot of digitization is on the second cycle. So we anticipate, hopefully, that there will be at least $1 million asked. There have been in cycles past over $1 million requested. This time, and I'm sure COVID had a lot to do with that as well. And generally, applicants, they just run out of time. Even though they know they have that period of time, they just run out of time and don't get it in. And we always tell them it's not a problem. They can always circle around to the second cycle. And beyond that, it would be left up to the commissioner and the deputy commissioner/state archivist if they want to increase the appropriation so that we could give out more funds. That is a possibility, but that is above that. What I would do, they would inform me if that's what they would like to do so that we could give out more funds. So it's very possible that they could do that for the second cycle. It may not go into effect because there's time constraints and a lot of levels of approval. So it might not be ready until next year at this time where we could give out more funds. So it just, it's a little bit hairy and it depends on finance and what we are allowed to do. So I'm sure they will be looking into that, increasing the appropriation. But right now it is $592,200. That's the most that we can give out for this particular cycle. We're right at 404,615.81. So we'll get there. I anticipate, this is my thought, just me personally. I figure by this cycle and by the end of the next two, we'll be even. Meaning the majority of the funds out of the account, or thereabouts 10,000 to 50,000 in there.
Hey, thanks.
Any other things that you all wish to discuss or bring up or have us work on or anything? Because we'll do it.
Thanks to the staff. They do a fabulous job, and I appreciate all their hard work. And
Agreed.
Absolutely. And Nicole, I just sent you an email
Okay.
on another issue.
Okay.
But yes, y'all do such a great job. And every time one of our city officials calls, every single one of you are just wonderful to work with.
Thank
And
you.
that's
We
the
appreciate
feedback we get consistently.
We appreciate it. And if any of you all need anything, training, we are always available. There's 5 of us that can. If you need us, any of your local offices or your agencies need any assistance with, and your libraries as well, with any records management, records retention questions, we are your people. We'll be there. If there's no other business, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion made.
All right, and a second, please. All right, we've got Mr. Cardi and we've got Dave, and all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You're like, no, I'm out of here. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We've not had a meeting for quite a while, so thank you so much. I appreciate the feedback and I appreciate you all being here and taking the time to assist us.
Thank you.
do you
Bye.
want these? Do you want our score sheets or not?
Sure, if you would love to, I'll take them, please. Send them in and we will put them with the documentation that we have for each cycle, the scoring and all of that. So yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
See ya. See ya.